The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Triversity Talk. You're here with Wendy on Wednesday, and it's always such a pleasure to bring you into my humble little abode here in New York City. Triversity, as you know, is our LGBTQ organization based out of Milford, Pennsylvania, but we actually service the tri-state area. And I just want to call to everyone's attention. We have a really wonderful newsletter that you can catch online or at our website, triversity.org. And please give us a like on Facebook, because we have all kinds of things on that page as well. We really, you know what? We really are a force. And I love sharing that with people. People say, okay, Wendy, it's in Milford, Pennsylvania. Why are you broadcasting from New York City? Because this is where I spend most of my time as an entertainer and a performer. And I love this city. I really do. I'm not really a country girl, but what the heck? We can't be everything to everybody, can we? So I hope you're all having a good week. I just want to give, a little words of wisdom here, Wendy's pearls of wisdom. There have been so many really negative things in the news lately, and a large portion of them, unfortunately, are true. But I tell everybody in our community, we have power. We are a force. We can certainly help each other, and we have to just remember what our own personal agendas are, because we've got to get through this. And you all know I always try and see the glass half full, half empty, and sometimes my glass is so full it runneth over. So there you have it. So tonight's guest, I was fortunate enough to attend an event at Howell Gallery where we talked about their career somewhat, and they were the speaker amongst some wonderful other people. But more than anything, I've known of this person from the 90s, and I'm really excited to have them on my show. I love people that are versatile, right? That are so gifted in their talents. They can just go from one thing to the other, and they're successful in all of them. Our guest tonight is a musician, songwriter, DJ, and performer. And I love this term. I didn't make it up. I took it off the internet. A multifaceted artist. And most recently, they were hired to do the makeup for Debbie Harry on the Gucci campaign. And there'll be a lot of the Debbie Harry connection that we'll talk about during our conversation here tonight. They also do amazing photography, have done shows, campaigns. And I call this segment the uniquely creative artistry of Guy Furrow. Round of applause.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you.
How are you there?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Isn't this nice that we can do this without freezing our tatas off going out in the cold?
I know. Modern technology.
It's modern. Where would we be without modern technology, right? And this is like so great. It took me a while to get used to streaming. I created a couple of shows during the pandemic, and that was 5 years ago, and they're still going strong. I'm not a technical girl, but I'm living in a technical world. So there you have it. Oh, and this is my right-hand person, or tonight left hand. This is Nugget. He's a long-haired Chihuahua, and he's amazing. So, do you have animals?
No, not anymore. I've had pets my whole life, and I used to have 2 kitties here in this apartment, and then had a dog named Monkey.
I
And
love that.
he was a sweet boy, and he died a few years back. So
I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, he made it
Well,
to 14 though, so that was good.
that's, you know what? That's a full lifespan. And dog years, I'm not good with math, but it's like over 100, right?
It's up there. Yeah, I don't know. How old is Nugget?
A Nugget is 10. My last Chihuahua made it to 14. That was Mr. Fudge. I have a lot of animals, by the way, Guy. This is what you don't know about me. I live with 2 rabbits and a cockatoo and a Chihuahua, and the rabbits are loose in the apartment, as
Oh
are
my,
the cockatoo and the Chihuahua. Everyone who knows me that's been to my house understands it. I've had rabbits for 50 years. I can't live without a rabbit. It's my spirit animal.
I had a rabbit when I was a child, and I used to get in his cage and sit with him. And
Oh my God. Oh, that's so
I
sweet.
was probably 9 years old. What
Right,
happened?
you probably knew the rabbit, like, would be much happier, like, running around and everything. I love
Oh
that you
no, he I don't know. I think he would just sleep in there at night, but he would run around the house.
so he was what we call a free roaming rabbit. That's
Mm.
FRR. But I love that you would get in his cage with him.
Yeah, whenever I would just get in there once in a while, and once he nibbled a hole in my shorts.
Oh my
Like,
God, that's so well, I
love
I
animals.
won't ask where the hole in the shorts was, but,
It was sort of on the side of my butt,
okay, well, there you go.
because I think I was sitting with my knees up, like with my arms around my knees. I
Right,
couldn't
so
really fit in
that
there,
would
but I
make
made
sense.
myself fit.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I can top your story. My rabbit ate my couch.
Ah, how's
It,
that?
it's eaten. I had a bunch of people up here over Christmas, and the people that are really know me, they don't judge me on it. But I did say to everybody, please pardon the appearance of the couch. It's eaten. It's got stuffing coming out of it and everything else. But what can I say? We love our animals. So, Guy, how long you been in New York for? What year did you come here?
I came here at the end of '85.
That's what I thought. So we missed each other by 10 years because I came in the late 70s,
Yeah.
which was like a totally different environment. That's what blows me away. That it's not that much time, but yet it is, right?
Yeah.
Because so much changed over that time. We all went through the AIDS era,
Yeah.
and it was just incredible time in New York. Now, you came here from where?
Southern California, a
So
little town in San Diego.
a town in San Diego. You know how nice that sounds to me right now. A warm, beachy town in San Diego.
It was very warm. It was a great place to grow up, but once I hit about 14 or 15, I really wanted to get out of that town. And
Right.
my plan was to move to LA.
That was
Uh,
what I was going to ask. Yeah.
My best friend and I were going to move to LA after we graduated high school, and we ended up getting invited to a Malcolm McLaren party in LA one night. Yeah, and we got all dressed up and went to the party. And we were fans. I had his record, his album Fans, that sort of operatic record he did. And I knew of him from doing Bow Wow Wow, which was one of my favorite bands.
Oh
And
my
then,
God. I can't. Annabella, that was her name, the lead singer.
yeah, Annabella Lewin. And
That was one of my favorite groups too. Yes.
they were so good. And anyway, when we met him, he loved the way we looked, and he asked if we had ever been to New York, and we said no. And he said, "Oh, you guys should go to New York. They would love you there." So, the next day at school, we were like, "I guess we should move to New York." And so that's what we did. And
Wow.
I've been here ever since. I tried LA in '88 for about 4 months, and I like LA a lot. I really always have liked LA, but I liked New York more, and felt like I had better friends here, and felt like there was more opportunity here. So I came back as soon as I could.
You know what? I have to agree with you on all points. I'm from the Bronx originally, so my coming here in 76 was graduating from college in upstate New York and moving into the city. But I have to tell you, as a performer, as an actress, so many people have said to me, "Oh, you should go to LA, you can I do some TV." But again, I so agree with you. Not only the energy here, we have some kind of control here. The times I've been out in LA, I feel like I could not make anything happen for myself. And when I'm in New York, things just happen, right?
Yeah, I think that was definitely the case. And, I don't know what it would be like today to do that, be an 18-year-old and move to New York and then
Right.
stay here for a couple of years and then go to LA. I mean, the world's so much different, obviously. But in those days, in the late 80s, it felt like New York just seemed to sort of embrace me more than California did. And, I was under 21 and I never really carried an ID. We didn't have to carry IDs in those days. And you would get in, not only would you not be carded, but
Right.
if you were dressed up, you'd get into the parties for free and often
Absolutely.
free. In LA, it was a very different thing because when I moved there, I was just 20 and I couldn't go out because they carded everywhere. And so I had to get a fake ID for a few months until I
But
turned.
that's not a big deal. We all knew how to get them. But yeah, it's funny. People think California is so laid back and so easy. But I know New York has got this incredible edge. But if you know how to circumvent New York, you're golden here because you really so much easier in so many ways.
Yeah, and I was really only concerned with going out in those days, and nightlife was very important to me.
Right.
So I had my last 2 or 3 years of high school, we would go out in LA there were over 16 clubs and parties and go see bands, and it was fun, really fun, and very creative people, and a lot of great looks. But in New York, you would go out and get all of that, but you also were, seeing Andy Warhol or Grace Jones or
Freaking
Stephen
amazing.
Sprouse, Debbie Harry out at these parties. And it just seemed really like special. And, it sort of seemed like, oh, this is just the way life is. And it's always going to be like this. And that wasn't the case necessarily. But in those days, it really was just, and it was, you knew that it was something special was happening. Although I felt like I missed, the golden era of New York nightlife in the 70s, and I always wished that I was older. My oldest brother is 10 years older than me, and he, if I was his age, I would have come to New York in 75 instead of 85.
Well,
But it was fun.
yeah, it was amazing because I'm sure your brother told you about the Saint.
Mm-mm. No, he never came to New York.
Ah,
If I was his age, I would have. No, they all stayed in Southern California.
there was never another gay club like the Saint, I can tell you. And there never will be another club like the Saint because the times certainly now are not supportive of it. And I can give a comparison. I love a lot of the big Brooklyn venues. They're fun, but it's not the same feeling. And it's not just the venue, right? Remember what was going on in the world in the late 70s. You know about it. And New York was like really amazing time then. The Saint, Studio 54, Paradise Garage, Flamingo, all of those clubs were, for someone that was a club person, so amazing. But when you obviously got to take part in a lot of New York nightlife. Now, I remember your name, I think so, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Were you part of the boy bar scene?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where, right. So this is going to blow your mind. All the boy bar people, I knew who every single person was because Sweetie was my best friend,
I love.
and was always saying, "You got to come to Boy Bar, you would love it. You got to come to Cheese Whiz, you would love it." And I would be like, "No, I'm going to Studio 54. I don't, it's too small for me. The acoustics. I had every reason in the world." And the irony of that is, Sweetie is gone now, and I've met every single person that he ever mentioned to me, small world. But Boy
Yeah.
Bar is like an amazing place.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was, I think, the very first place, the day we got to New York, my best friend Lauren and we went to Boy Bar and then to the Palladium. But
It was great.
I think that was the order. We may have gone vice versa, Palladium first, then ended up
Right.
at Boy Bar. But and then it was a Thursday night, and we saw the drag show, which was Connie, Glamamore, and Miss Shannon. And we had seen drag shows in LA. There was a club on Santa Monica Boulevard called Peanuts, and it was a lesbian bar for the most part, if I remember correctly. But on Saturday nights, they had drag shows. And so
Wow.
we would often go up there on Saturdays when we were 16, 17. And I don't remember if we had fake IDs. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we used to go there a lot to see the shows. But the shows were very sort of traditional drag.
Yeah.
And at Boy Bar and Pyramid, they were just so
And Pyramid.
different and unusual and interesting and original and demented and funny and beautiful and all of the above. And so I was really drawn to that. And so Boy Bar was a place we went to all the time, and I really loved it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Pyramid, and I'll throw in Hattie Hathaway, Linda Simpson, all the people connected with that. What you're talking about in that time is really raw creativity, not kids that came here with a trust fund and being incredibly stylish. It was just people came here from all over and could do anything. And I always say, at that particular time, it was a definite magnet, for people. The ones that were supposed to be here were here. And I'm looking at the date that you and I are having this show on. We freaking survived it. That's the thing. It's transcending these decades, being part of club culture and surviving it. Now, at what point, I want to hear all about the Toilet Boys because I had always heard about them, but how did that come to be? Like, what influenced the Toilet Boys?
Well, I always wanted to start a band. I came to New York with that in mind, but got sort of sidetracked with nightlife and going out to nightclubs and bars and parties. And also trying to meet musicians and people that I could start a band with, but I was super shy in those days. And so it was hard for me to go up and talk to somebody. And I didn't really know a lot of people that were doing live rock music in those days, in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so in the 90s, I guess I started meeting more like-minded people, and I was able to start my band, and I was doing a party called Squeezebox. So
of course I remember Squeezebox.
yeah, and I was the DJ, and so I knew that I was going to do my first show at Squeezebox, and we went over really well, and started getting a lot of bookings, and playing all over town and building up a little buzz. And then we started sort of branching out of New York, Philly, Boston, and wherever else around here. And then we got to go to the West Coast, and then we did really well out there. So then we started playing up in Toronto and Montreal, and we got to go to London, and that we did really well. And, people liked us, and we got a lot of press. And then that just sort of led to, playing all over the world, and people coming to see us and liking us, and people that were in big bands, and they would offer to take us out on the road or open for them. And so that was very exciting. And it was a lot of fun. And a lot of things happened that I never in a million years would have dreamt would happen to me. But, it was a fun time. But
You're making it sound so like what you're, because I remember those days and I know it could happen. Think about now, this, what you're describing, just, I've had a lot of music people on. I have another show too. And
mhm.
people from those days, I've heard these stories, just getting picked up, going on the road, and then playing the world, right? How it's a really amazing, because you were growing up in San Diego. I'm sure that you couldn't even wrap your head around this kind of thing happening.
No, I mean, I wanted to have commercial success with my band, and I wanted to be, on the cover of Rolling Stone and all of that. But I
Right.
also, knew that we were making a mark in the underground, and a lot of the heroes that I loved growing up as a kid that were in bands that I loved liked my band, and that meant a lot to all of us. And that was always exciting, if someone like Ace Frehley from Kiss would come see us play, or
Amazing.
Debbie Harry, or Joey Ramone, or Dee Dee Ramone, and it was pretty great. But I wanted commercial success. I think half of us wanted big success, and half were happy with what we had. And so in that sense, I didn't fully appreciate and enjoy it while it was happening, because I was always wanting the next big thing.
Uh,
But it was fun, and yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that today. It didn't take a lot of effort. I mean, we worked a lot on it, and rehearsed and toured, and recorded, and did all the things we did. But it felt sort of effortless. It wasn't, I mean, we faced a lot of obstacles, but we also, did a lot. I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't seem.
it's the kind of, I call it like pop-it beads, where one bead fits into the next, and it does just happen. And it's so rare to hear these stories. I've had a lot of the kids on my shows. It's, as you know, a Spotify, the whole industry is just blown up into a very challenging time. You can be tremendously talented, and getting your stuff out there is
Mhm.
really, really hard now. What you're describing, I love hearing this, right? Because it was a magical time in a lot of ways. And I guess you probably feel, because of your age at the time, you took it for granted, right? Even the fact that you were moving yourself forward and you wanted commercial success and all of that, you took the success and just figured, hey, it's always going to be there, right? We always think that way.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I just sort of was doing it without knowing what to do. Because I knew people in bands, but I'd never really asked anybody, oh, what should we be doing, and whatever. And, I just felt like the fact that people were wanting to book us into their clubs,
Yeah.
and bigger bands were wanting to take us on the road with them, or have us open for them, or whatever, that we were doing something right. And so I didn't really question it. But we had a couple of managers that didn't really do anything for us, and we got signed to a label, and you
I
know
figured, yeah.
and that didn't go well. And so whenever these things would happen that I wanted, like having a manager or having a label, those were kind of like the worst moments of the band's career. All of the best moments were when we didn't have a manager, and when we weren't on a label. And so it was weird. And when I started knowing other local bands in New York, they would say, don't do this or don't do that. And I don't know, I just felt like everybody was different. And in the end, the same thing happened to us as a lot of the people in other bands that got dropped by their labels or whatever. And it's upsetting, but it wasn't the worst thing. And a lot of bands will just break up, but we carried on, and ended up doing some of the best things after we got dropped from our label.
That's a really important point, and I'm really glad you're sharing that. We often have an idea of what quote unquote success is, and you brought it up about having a manager, having a label. I talk about this with actors all the time, having a manager, having an agent. I thought for a long time that would be the answer to everything, and it couldn't have been the furthest thing from the truth. However, when you're in your 20s, you have a set idea, and you said it. You had an idea of what commercial success was going to be. In your head, you had what those ingredients were going to be. And then you find out when you don't have those bells and whistles, the work that you're creating and the things that happen are far more what you're supposed to have and far more better for you.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I don't know if I would have done anything differently, but I don't know. It happened the way it was meant to happen, and
Exactly.
So
exactly. I think what is interesting to me about you, though, you were able to move into makeup. How did that happen?
Well, I started doing makeup before I ever had a band. And before I even ever started DJing, I was trying to do makeup. I mean, I was doing makeup, but I wasn't having a lot of luck with it. I did some good things. This was like very early 90s. I did the first Delight album cover, and their first video, Bruise in the Heart. And I did a lot of fashion shows, and I did a lot of the big models in those days, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington.
Christina.
Yeah, and but I would often be told what to do from the photographer's assistant, never the photographer. And I worked with like Scavullo and Stephen Klein, and
of course,
some big photographers, and they were always lovely, but their assistants would be like, too heavy, the eyes are too, and I just never felt like I had. And I assisted Kevin Aucoin, and he was very.
Well, Kevin was amazing and an amazing person, and gone too soon.
Sweetheart. Yeah, definitely gone too soon. Very sweet. He was very supportive and really trying to encourage me to go for it. He thought I was good, but I didn't like the way people treated me in the fashion industry because I wasn't a star makeup artist. I was often treated by a lot of people not very nicely, and I thought, well, I don't really want to be doing this. I mean, I'm good at it, but I want to do something in music. So I started DJing, and then my band came together, and I thought, oh, I should give this a shot. So while I was doing that, I kind of stopped doing makeup. I would do things occasionally, but then I started doing makeup after my band broke up, and in the early to mid 2000s. And I was, I'm friends with Debbie Harry, so she would ask me to do her makeup for things occasionally. Amazing. And so that's sort of how I started doing makeup again, was through her.
How wonderful. And I mean, I remember Debbie from the very beginning. And first of all, in terms of makeup, that's a face and a half. She just gorgeous. The bones, the structure is just amazing. So how wonderful to be able to do her face. And
yeah, I can't say every makeup artist's dream to do that face, but that's the ultimate face, really, to put makeup on, for sure.
Right. But I mean, you know what? In your trajectory, you've been able to get all the things that fit you, which is really, really pretty amazing. A lot of people can go through their life, especially creative people, and never find the right fit for anything at all. And it's frustrating for artists.
Yeah.
How you've been very, very fortunate that, when you've, I don't know, gone chill, for lack of a better word, it kind of has happened.
Yeah, I guess, it's hard to say, because, when you're trying to make something happen, it seems like nothing's coming together.
Right.
And other times it seems like things just come together really easily. And so with everything I've done, I mean, DJing, I never wanted to be a DJ, but I was, a friend of mine was doing a party in 1993, and his DJ, it was summertime, and his DJ was not able to get in from Fire Island or Provincetown or some beach. And he called and said, "Oh, do you know, can you ask Howie Pyro, who was a good friend of mine and a great DJ, if he can do this DJ our party tonight?" I said, "Sure, I'll ask." So Howie said, "Oh, no, I can. And why don't you do it? You have a great record collection and you know a lot about music." And I was like, "Oh."
Records. Wow, records. We're talking records.
I was lugging crates of records around in high heels and full makeup in
I
those
love
days.
it.
And, so I said, "All right, yeah." So I told my friend, Howie can't do it, but I can do it. And he said, "Oh, okay, great. I didn't know you were a DJ." I said, "I'm not, but I know music and I know how to put a needle on a record." So I DJ'd that night, and it was a big hit, and they fired their DJ and hired me. So, that kind of came together nicely, and I ended up working as a DJ for many years. I still DJ now, but just special events. I don't do the weekly grind anymore. But
they describe you as pioneering in DJ, the way you would mix your music together. What genres did you mix?
Well, I used to refer to myself as a scatterbrained DJ because I was sort of all over the place. And
ADHD DJ.
that wasn't a thing then, but yeah. But I like a lot of different genres and eras of music.
Yeah.
So I think that's what worked in my favor, because when I started DJing, you would go to a certain venue to hear a certain kind of music, and you'd go to a certain club or a party to hear a certain kind of music. And I liked that. I loved rock music. So if I went to the Cat Club, I knew I was going to be hearing rock music all night.
The Cat Club. Oh my God.
And I had a lot of friends in that scene, and because I was trying to start a band, I was hanging out there trying to meet musicians, and I had some good times there. And Don Hill owned it and ran it, and so when he opened Don Hill's, that's where we did Squeezebox. So it all kind of came together nicely. But I just I don't know. It was something that I knew I could do, and I could mix different genres and different eras and do it well. I wasn't a mix master, of course, and I didn't beat match or anything, but I did it all the mixing sort of by feeling. And I'm good at reading a room, so I could tell if something wasn't working, and I should fade this out soon and bring in the next song. And I always knew if I was trying something that I wasn't certain was going to be a crowd pleaser, I would always follow it up with something that I knew was a crowd pleaser. And I just sort of would play depending on what band was playing that night, or what drag queen was performing, or I was always good at mixing in things to work with different elements throughout the night.
That's very instinctive, though, to be able to do that. I'm out a lot, and I can go through the list of who's playing now, and a lot of the DJs, and I know a lot of the people that DJ'd back then. I give private events, I hire DJs, and I really know music. But the number one thing is being able to read the room, number one. And you're right. If you try something new and it's not flying, you don't follow it up with another new thing, right? You go to something that's going to make people want to dance. That's like a number one thing. And a lot of them don't do that.
No. And, back up until, I love DJing with my laptop or using flash drives. It's very convenient. And, but the thing about when I started DJing, and I'm sure other DJs that have been DJing as long as me or even longer than me, it was a good DJ was as good as their record collection and their knowledge of music. So, when I was doing Squeezebox, people would come up to me freaking out, like, "I've never heard the Plasmatics in a club ever anywhere." Right. And, they would get super excited. It was like, okay, relax.
All right, I'm playing the Plasmatics.
It was cool. But, it was pre-Shazam and pre-Spotify, and, everybody now has access to every bit of music ever made. And in those days, I had like 2,500 or 3,000 records and countless 7-inches and tons of CDs, and
all in those things around in those crates.
I don't know how I did it. And but I don't know how all of us did it. And I really liked records, though. I liked spinning with a record, DJing with records, but it wasn't very convenient. But I had a good record collection, and so I could do parties, that all night long. I could play, specific punk from like 77 to
Yeah,
79.
'cause you had the collection.
Yeah, and but I always would bring other stuff, because even when someone would say, "Oh, I want an 80s heavy metal party and that's all I
Yeah.
want to hear all night long and nothing else." I said, "Okay," but I would still bring other stuff, because an hour in, the person would come up and say, "Can you play some Bowie or some,
Of course, right.
Okay, yeah, sure." No one ever really wanted to stick to a theme. Um, all night long. But I never liked hearing one genre of music all night long anyway, even though I love pretty much every genre. I don't want to hear one thing all night long.
Right. No, nobody does. And sometimes you're in the mood for, music that you can sing the words to, as opposed to like techno or EDM. I'm very into EDM because I love dancing. And I love that they still have those huge parties in Brooklyn where you can just get into the music and just, do that vibe. I love that. But yeah, I mean, you played, you have obviously a great range of knowledge about music on top of everything else. Well, you sent me the video for the Toilet Boys, which I enjoyed watching. So I want to share it with our audience now. So this is the Toilet Boys. Amazing. Love it. Just totally love it. Where was that?
That was somewhere in Europe. I think that was in Paris, that
Wow.
particular video.
Wow.
Yeah. We were opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I
And
love the way you just like throw that out there. We're opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, it's so funny because heard you speak at Howell and we're having this conversation and you're low key. And on stage, you are anything but low key. It's confrontational, it's edgy, it's gorgeous, you're beautiful. And it always amazes me because sometimes I'll meet, I've known a lot of the people in Kiss. They were outrageous. You
yeah.
know, Gene Simmons was outrageous. Even when you would talk to him in his normal life, just outrageous. You've got like two sides in you, which is so interesting.
Well, I'm a Gemini, and
Right.
the sign of the twin. I've been very shy my whole life. I'm still shy. I'm not as shy as I used to be as a kid and a young teen and 20s, early 20s. So when I did my band, and anytime I got on stage, I knew I had to do myself a particular way visually to be able to have the confidence to go on stage. And that really helped a lot. And I, with the Toilet Boys, I don't know where that person came from, but that was me fronting that band, and I
Yep.
sometimes, see old videos and I think, gosh, who is that person? Because I wasn't like that off stage, right up until we walked on, and when we walked off, I wasn't like that. It was something that just happened when I was on stage, and also my guitar player Sean, he and I really played a lot off each other.
You
And
did.
so he and I would sort of amp each other up on stage. I mean, walking on stage, I was very sort of, just like this. I was excited or nervous or whatever the case may be, depending on the gig, but I was not, one of those people. I have friends and I've seen bands and whatever that they go on stage and they're really amped up before they're walking on and be on the side of the stage, like, and I was never like that. I mean, I used to have this uh, good luck charm that a friend gave me that we would all touch before we went on stage. And that was it. But we didn't, there was no, some of the guys in my band would get amped up like that before we went on. And, I would be very excited, but I wasn't the type. I wouldn't really, you know, come alive until I got on the stage.
Oh, you are like blow away alive on stage. I mean, it really, I looked through a bunch of your videos. It really is so interesting to me because I am the same person on stage or off stage because
Mhm.
that is my personality day in and day out. Or people say, how do you manage to be on all the time? I'm not on. That's who I am. But I love when I see somebody that is low key and they tell me they perform and I'll go to their show or something and then they just freaking blow it out of the water on the stage. It really, some people just come alive. They connect like it's like putting a plug into a socket and this whole electrical thing happens. And I mean, yeah, it's really, really quite amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see different performers and their pre-show rituals and what they're like on stage and how they are after, a performance. And everybody's different, and everybody has their own way of, you know,
Exactly.
getting the, because I feel like I've said this to other friends who play in bands and front bands. It's sort of an unnatural thing to like dress up and go on stage and ham it up for a crowd. It's not for I don't know, it's sort of a strange thing. Like what makes somebody want to do that? I don't know. I don't know what made me want to do it. I guess being shy and sort of um uh in the background a lot as a child. I there was something in me that wanted to be in the spotlight. Um,
Right.
so I think that's the case with a lot of performers. They they liked the spotlight. And I don't like it 24/7. Like when I used to DJ, I didn't like having attention on me. And when I was in DJ mode, I was just the DJ. I didn't want to be like hamming it up and
Right. Yeah, right. Well, I know when they go like that.
like I love that when I see DJs do that. Like Lady
Right.
Bunny is fun, and she'll go out and dance in front of the booth and spin around, and but I was just not that type of DJ. But I always loved fronting a rock band.
Amazing. Well, you've made all that happen, and then when did photography come into your world?
That also started work when I was working with Debbie doing her makeup a lot. About 10 years ago, I started, like 2014, 2015, I started working with her pretty regularly. And so I would take my camera with me. I mean, I always enjoyed taking photos,
Yeah, sure.
just out at parties or clubs or whatever, my whole life. But I got a real camera and started taking it with me, and I would shoot a couple quick portraits of Debbie when I was done doing her makeup. And so if there were any good ones, I would send them to her, and she started sending them to Chris Stein, her partner in Blondie. And he said to me one day, I like these photos you're taking of Debbie, would you want to shoot the band sometime? I was like, are you kidding me? So I got to shoot the band quite a few times, and they used one of my photos on their last record, and
Cool.
a lot of t-shirts used my photos. And so that was exciting. And so basically I started shooting portraits of friends, and I did this bubble bath series and shot about almost 100 people in my bathtub. And I did a group show. I'm sorry, I did a solo exhibition of the bubble bath series. And
Where was that? My God, I never. It sounds wonderful.
oh yeah, it was fun. It was at a little gallery on Avenue A called Art on A, and this was
Okay.
2017 or 2018. And it's no longer there, but it was fun. And I enjoyed photography. I always have. It's a creative outlet that I really enjoy.
Well,
Like
yeah.
I like writing and recording music, but it's a slow process, and I'm not fully in control because I don't know how to, I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to work a board or anything. But photography, I really enjoy, and it's just me and the person I'm shooting or the people I'm shooting, because I've shot a few bands, and I do really enjoy it, and I like retouching photos, and that's a nice sort of creative outlet. And so yeah, I've just been doing photography.
It's so interesting because you've gone through all of these creative outlets, and during the pandemic, you did like a FaceTime series.
Oh yeah, I did I called them my virtual portraits. Yeah. A friend of mine in LA said you should figure out a way to do photos of people during this pandemic. And it was right at the beginning. It was like early April of 2020. And so I figured it out and started doing it. And I did like 400 people that way or more.
Amazing.
I don't know. And it was fun. It was a really fun thing to do at a time that was when there was nothing happening, and people that I would do, seemed to like it. It was it's an excuse to fix my hair and put on some makeup or whatever. So I did it for like a full year, the first full year of the pandemic, and then sort of thought, oh well, it's not really, people were going out, and it was kind of over.
I know, but the thing is, it was a creative project that you came upon because of the pandemic. I started doing these shows because of the pandemic. I had a whole other life before this. I didn't do this. And my first show that I came out with was Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. They shut New York down March 12th, and March 13th, I hauled every wig out of my closet, all of my costumes, all of my makeups, and I started to do a cooking show. The funny thing about it, and this is what people know about me, I don't cook. It was a complete fraud. However, I can do characters, and I would download recipes from the internet. I would order those meals that you put together, like from Fresh Direct, and make like they were my own. But what it did for me and what it did for people, they would tune in. And I did this for a good 4 months, and I had a blast doing it. And like you, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. And I've only ever been a creative person. I had no idea what to do. So in some ways, the pandemic was really good for us.
Yeah, I mean, it was, a way to keep somewhat sane during a very crazy time, and so yeah. But I wouldn't want to have to relive that.
I am right there with you. We are down to the wire here. 2 questions from me. Where did Miss Guy come from?
Well, when Matthew Caston, who produced the shows at Boy Bar, asked me
of course I knew who
Matthew
was. Of course.
I used to go there all the time dressed up and watch the shows and hang out and was getting to know people. And he came up to me one night and said, "Oh, would you ever want to perform here?" And I didn't really want to do drag shows, but I wanted to get my foot in the door. And I thought, oh gosh, what better than getting on stage in a crowded club and learning how to become a performer. So I said, yeah, sure. And he said, okay, well, what, you need to come up with a name. And I said, just, Guy. I want to go by Guy. And he's, you need a drag name. And I was like, I don't want to be called, I don't know, Linda when I'm 25 or 30 walking down the street. I don't want someone to scream, "Hey, Linda." So I thought, oh, how about Miss Guy? And he's like, yeah, Miss Guy's good.
So perfect.
So I thought, oh, I'll do this for a year or so and then go back to going by, go back to Guy, and no one will ever know about or hear about Miss Guy again. And here it is, but it's not bad. It's a funny name.
And Toilet Boys, why not gender neutral restroom? If you were doing it now, that would be a great name. Where did Toilet Boys come from?
That was another sort of spur of the moment thing I said as a joke. Well, that was never, I was going to call my band The Flames. And for some reason, there was a photo of me and Theo Kogan from the Lunatics and Howie Pyro from D-Generation. We were in a magazine, and it was taken at Wigstock, I think. And this was the early 90s. And we were standing in front of porta potties. And so when someone showed us the photo in the magazine, I said, "Oh, the Toilet Boys," because we were standing in front of porta potties. So when we got our first gig, I just said, "Oh, I'm going to call this Miss Guy and the Toilet Boys." And I don't know why, but and I thought I would do it for that one gig and then go back to my original plan.
You see what happens, once again, it's stuck. Thank you so much. Love talking to you. Could talk to you for another hour. I always like to end my shows by taking a virtual picture, a couple of them. So cheese. Come on, camera.
Yeah.
Good. And one more. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You the best with everything. Again, your work is on the Gucci campaign with Debbie Harry, and I know that our paths will be crossing probably a lot because I'm involved in everything in the arts in New York. I don't sleep very much, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, you're doing it, and I'm glad I got to meet Nugget, and let's bump into each other sometime soon.
Absolutely. You take care. Everybody who tuned in tonight, be safe, be well, and I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.